Hello and welcome to Mathematics with Simon. I'm Simon and this is Chewy the dog. Today we're doing fractions 2, comparing, adding and subtracting fractions. Here's a picture of Chewy. So now Chewy's on the screen twice. Some would say that's one too many or even two too many, but perhaps that's a bit cruel. I think it's just the right number of Chewies. So we start with the question, which bowl of cat food would Chewy prefer? So here's a bowl of cat food. It's a full bowl of cat food, but if you offered him 2/3 or 3/5, which would he prefer? Cat food? I thought Chewy was a dog. Well, here are some of the foods that Chewy finds acceptable. He likes cat food, he likes fish, he likes chicken, and he likes cheese. If you give Chewy a bowl of dog food, what he'll do is ignore it, walk around it, then at 10 o'clock at night he'll put his paw on it, flip it over and put it on the ground, and then walk away from it. Any advice on how to look after a dog would be very welcome. Please write it in the comments. Anyway, which bowl of cat food would Chewy prefer, given that he prefers more rather than less? Here are some pictures of some bowls of cat food. On the left there's 2/3, on the right there's 3/5. You might be able to see which is the bigger. You might be able to have an opinion about that. But I think if we're trying to do it mathematically, it's the problem of comparing apples and oranges. So if I say to you, what is more, 4 apples or 3 oranges, you would say, well, is it more cost? Do you mean more vitamin C? Do you mean more delicious? Do you mean more weight? How do you mean? You know, you're sort of trying to compare two things that are quite different. We can think about comparing pounds to dollars. So if I said, what's more, what would you prefer, £10 or $12? We have got an exchange rate. So today, £1 is worth $1.37. Or in terms of fractions, £1 is worth $1.37 of a dollar. $1.37, because a cent is 100th of a dollar. So you can actually work out if you prefer £10 or $12. So in the case of thirds and fifths, 15ths does the job. And again, I'm going to draw a picture. There are the 15ths which have appeared on the diagram. So now we can see 2/3 in 15ths. We can see 3/5 in 15ths. We could count them up. We're also going to do it mathematically. Well, we're going to use it using numbers. So 2/3, we're going to multiply the top and bottom of 2/3 by 5, and we're going to get to 10/15. We're going to multiply the top and bottom of 3/5 by 3, and we're going to get to 9/15. So 10/15 is bigger than 9/15. 10 pairs is more than 9 pairs, whether we're talking about cost or taste or weight. So 10/15 is the biggest, which means that 2/3 was the biggest, which means Chewy would prefer 2/3 of a bowl of cat food to 3/5, although he might even get a whole bowl at the end. So what happened here? Well, the first thing we discover is a simple rule, which is if we multiply the top and bottom of a fraction by the same number, then it doesn't change the fraction. So if we multiply the top and bottom of a fraction by the same number, it doesn't change the fraction. So if we multiply the top and bottom of a half by 2, we get 2/4, same fraction. Or by 3, we get 3/6, which is the same fraction. If we multiply the top and bottom of a third by 2, we get 2/6, which is the same as a third. Looks the same as a third, doesn't it? And multiply by 3, we get 3/9. So we can multiply or divide the top and bottom by a number, and it doesn't change the fraction. Just a different version of the same fraction. So what we need is a number that 3 and 5 go into. We've discovered that that's 15. And then what that means is when we're faced with 2/3 compared to 3/5, we can put it into 15ths, and it allowed us to get the answer that we got. The answer we got was 2/3 was the biggest because it was 10/15. So let's look at a brand new example. 2/7 compared to 1/3. So what we need is the smallest number that 3 and 7, the dog's hair is slightly irritating my nose. We need the smallest, but it's worth it to have him here. We need the smallest number that 3 and 7 will both go into. And this is the common denominator. This is what we call a common denominator. The answer is 21. That's the smallest number that 3 and 7 will both go into. We do have a video on lowest common multiple, highest common factor and prime numbers, and this is helpful because the lowest common denominator is the lowest common multiple of the two denominators. So knowing how to do lowest common multiple is helpful for this. You might want to look at that video. The lowest common multiple of 3 and 7 is 21, so we're going to put both of these into 21sts, these two numbers, these two fractions. So 2 over 7 becomes 6 over 21 because we multiply the top and bottom by 3. And then 1 over 3 becomes 7 over 21 because we multiply top and bottom by 7. So in this case, the right hand one is the bigger. 7 over 21 is bigger just by 1/21, so not by much. 7 over 21 is the bigger. So 1/3 was bigger than 2/7. I mean, actually, one way of thinking about this is that if this was 2/6, they'd be the same, but 7ths are smaller than 6ths, so it's not a surprise that 2/7 is smaller than 1/3, because 2/6 is equal to 1/3, and 7ths are smaller than 6. Do you want to get down, mister? Down you get. Come back for the cat food at the end. Okay, let's try another. 3/8 compared to 5/12. We need a common denominator. We need the smallest number that 8 and 12 will both go into. This is the common denominator. 24. At any point in the video, please feel free to pause while you're having a think, trying to work things out, or alternatively just watch it and let it flow over you. It's completely up to you, whatever suits. It's a matter of personal style, actually. Some people say maths is not a spectator sport. You have to actually participate. I don't know. It depends how you feel on the day, you know. Do what you enjoy. What's the common denominator of 8 and 12? We just decided it was 24. So we're going to put these both into 24ths. So we're going to multiply the top and bottom of the left one by 3, 9 24ths. Top and bottom of the right one by 2, 10 24ths. 10 24ths is bigger than 9 24ths. Now when we're adding fractions, it's a similar situation. We need a common denominator. We need a common unit. Adding a half to a third is like adding an apple to an orange. We need something that they both go into. So we need the smallest number that 2 and 3 both go into. Again, you might want to think about this or guess this. Big drum roll. The answer is 6. So we're going to put a half into 6ths, which is 3/6, times in the top and bottom by 3. We're going to put a third into 6ths, so that's 2/6, times in the top and bottom by 2. So 3 times 2 is 6, and so we times the top by 2 as well, which gives 2/6. Add them together, it's 5/6, which is nearly a whole, which isn't a big surprise really, because a half plus a third, you know, a third is nearly a half, and a half plus a half is a whole, so it's going to be close to a whole. And it's good to sort of sense check these things in your own head. Does that feel reasonable? So 3/6 plus 2/6 is 5/6. Let's try one more. 3/8 plus a quarter. And again, it's a matter of taste how many examples you want to do. Some people like to do a lot of examples. Some people like to do fewer. It's very personal and it might vary by the subject. 3/8 plus a quarter. We need the smallest number that 4 and 8 will both go into. This is the common denominator. So it's 8. So actually, 8 goes into 8 and 4 goes into 8. So on this case, one of the numbers is actually the lowest common multiple. So that's not the case with 3 and 4. 3 and 4 both go into 12. But for 2 and 4, 2 and 4 both go into 4. And 4 and 8 both go into 8. So 8 is the common denominator. It's the lowest common multiple of 4 and 8. So we're going to change these all into eighths. 3 over 8 is already in eighths. 1 over 4, we need to multiply top and bottom by 2, 2/8. So it's 3/8 plus 2/8, which is 5/8. Let's do one more. A 6 plus 2/9. We need the smallest number that 6 and 9 will both go into. This is the common denominator. And the smallest number is 18. We could use 36, and 36 would work, but actually it's simpler to use the smallest number, which is 18. So we're going to put 1/6 into 18ths, which is 3/18, times top and bottom by 3. We're going to put 2/9 into 18th, times top and bottom by 2, gives 4/18. So overall, the answer, 3/18 plus 4/18 is 7/18. Now, subtraction uses a very similar method. Again, we need a common denominator. We need a common unit. So this is a bit more difficult, this question. 5/14ths minus 4/21sts. So we've got to find a number that 14 and 21 go into, and that will be the common denominator. So what's the smallest number that 14 and 21 go into? So this is a bit harder because it's outside the normal times tables. The answer is 42. So 5/14 minus 4/21. We're going to times the left one by 3 to get 14 up to 42, and then the top goes to 15. 5 goes to 15 when you times by 3. The right one we're going to times by 2. 21 times 2 is 42, so 4 times 2 is 8. 5/42 minus 8/42 is 7/42, but there's one more step now for us because we notice that 7 goes into 7 and 7 goes into 42, so we can cancel down by 7. If you multiply the top and bottom by a number, it doesn't change the fraction, but also if you divide by a number, it doesn't change the fraction. So actually, divide top and bottom by 7 comes down to 1/6, because 7 into 42 is 6, and 7 into 7 is 1, so actually the answer is 1/6. So this actually comes down to quite a nice simple answer. We're going to finish on a slightly easier one, a half minus a third. So if I've got £1,000 and I give you a half of my £1,000, and then I want to take back a third of my £1,000, what proportion of the £1,000 have I given you? You might want to have a think about it, you might want to work that out, you might want to tell me what your opinion is or how you approached it, but again, we're looking for a common denominator. We're looking for the smallest number that 2 and 3 will both go into. We've actually done this before in the video, so this is a matter of remembering. So what's the smallest number that 2 and 3 will both go into? 6. So we're going to put these both into sixths. A half is 3/6. A third is 2/6. 3/6 minus 2/6 is 1/6. So a half minus a third is a sixth. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please press like so YouTube can know that you enjoyed it. We're going to make more videos on fractions. We're going to make more videos on all sorts of mathematical subjects in the future. So please do subscribe and hit the notification bell so we can let you know. I really hope you enjoy your mathematics. That's really important. And we very much look forward to seeing you next time. The only thing that remains is to feed Chewy, not a proportion, but a whole pouch of cat food. Here's the cat food. Felix. It's as good as it looks, and it looks pretty good. Chewy, do you want to eat some cat food? Come on, mister. Okay. The cat food fell upside down onto the carpet. I just can't talk about it. Anyway, never work with children and animals. He's an animal, and I'm a child. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and we look forward to seeing you next time.